you ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon. I am fifth grade strong. I am smarter than a fifth grader occasionally. Thank you so much to my friend Janelle. We call her Lots of Lattes here for this shirt. Welcome to the Roundtable. My name is Robert Bannon, and I'm excited to be with you here on this Thursday, this gloomy, cold Thursday here in New Jersey. But we're going to heat things up with the one and only Marc Summers. Marc Summers is here, the host of Double Dare and the Food Network's Unwrapped, and he's working on a musical, a two-person musical about his life. Thank you for all this fifth grade swag. We're trucking along. We're trucking along. We're trucking along in the fifth grade. It's something, that's for sure. I so appreciate it. This was a really nice surprise, and I wasn't going to wear it. I was going to wear it, but I can't wear it because it's dress down day, and dress down day tomorrow is reserved for us wearing blue because the union is fighting for a contract because we don't have one. So tomorrow I have to wear blue, but let's go. I wore it here on the Roundtable, and I'll wear it on the next dress down day for sure. So thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's nice to have you here. You know, we've been doing this show for 39 weeks. What the heck? 39 weeks we've been doing the Roundtable? What are we going to do for a year? Maybe we need to do a Roundtable cruise. I have no idea, but I'm excited. Well, let's get started, shall we? Do you want to get started? Big excitement today at our good friends, Valerie. Hi, friends. Valerie and I went to school together, and I appreciate her and her support. And I'm thinking about you. Hang in there. Hang in there. So we want to give this show a special shout out. I heard from my friends at DKC. DKC does a lot of the guests for us, and they represent Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, which is the most random thing ever. And look who got a wax figure this week, but Lil Nas X in a blonde wig. I saw the picture, they sent it to me, and I was like, that's life goals right there. That's good. That was a good one. That's a good. Go to Madame Tussauds and make sure you check out the Little Nas X wax figure, the one in LA, the one in New York, or around the country. Hi, Christine. Thanks for being here. Hey, Roundtablers. I love that we have a name. I appreciate you all so much. Yes, Janelle. Yes, he's got it wax, and it looks so good. All right, I want to. Sad note, I want to dedicate this show to a really amazing talent who we lost this week. I had the privilege of working with her for a week, and she's someone who I found to be effervescent, special, and her voice is unmatched. She's worked with everyone from Michael Jackson down the line, including her own humongous career. Big rest in peace and love to Marva Hicks. Marva Hicks, who was an R&B singer and then went on to be a Broadway star. She was a light to be around, and I wanted to dedicate this show to her. All right, everybody. Let's get started. Are you ready for my weekend review? I'm ready for the weekend review. Even if you're not ready for the weekend review, I'm ready for the weekend review. Here we go. Well, it is time for our weekend review. We had a week. It was a good week, too. It was kind of fun. We did some fun things. Big shout out on Saturday. I had the chance. I worked all weekend. I worked Saturday and I worked Sunday. Saturday, I got to see our fellow friend here that is always watching and supporting me. My friend Marie, her nephew is running for Board of Ed, and they had a fundraiser, and I got to sing and be a part of the entertainment. Thanks to Marie and Tom and Chris Monroe for the love and support and letting me be a part of your event. It was so nice to sing with you all. And then on Sunday, I got to sing at Patsy's. I joked. I said, Billy Joel has a residency at Madison Square Garden. Celine Dion is seen at the Coliseum in Vegas, or now in that other hotel. And I have a residency at Patsy's Italian Restaurant in Fairview, New Jersey, and I'm damn proud of it. This week we had... and Valerie's too. He played with me, and we had a really great time, and we made some pasta, and she did it up. And we'll be back there in December. It's just a very casual. It's like performing in my living room is what I like to say. It's just some pasta. We sing some songs, no smoke and mirrors, nothing fancy, just some great fun times. So it was really nice to spend time with him. I had a student who came. My student Edelyn came. It was her first big event out, and she was really excited. and she um saved her money. She saved her allowance money to get a ticket. And when I heard that, I didn't take her money. I mean, my goodness, can you imagine? This poor thing is stuck listening to me at school and then listening to me there at the restaurant. But look at her. Look at her with her CD on her TikTok. How much she was moved. She is a sweetheart, and it means so much to me that when my students watch, I try to behave most of the time, and to see the light and the excitement that they have about everything, it reminds me that life is good. Life is good. It's okay. Even when it's not, it's okay. So it was a good week. I had a good week, and I'm back at work. Then it's like right back at it, right back at work. That's what we do. Can I talk to you about what's coming up? Sure. Well, how about next week's show on Thursday? Dar Williams is here. She's a singer, songwriter, and author. She sold millions of copies of her albums, and now she has another book called How to Write a Song That Matters, September 29th at 7 o'clock, only on YouTube and Facebook. She's my good buddy. I appreciate her. I love her so much. She's so generous and sweet and kind, and she's going to be here to talk about you can write a song. There's a song in each and every single one of you, if you believe it or not. You're singing for your Jersey peep. Yes, Christine, they're my Jersey people. I love them, and I adore them right back. I owe you a crazy story. I do owe you a crazy story, and I told one on Sunday, one that I can't tell here, but I'll tell you. One moment, we'll find a moment for me to tell you. But I owe you a crazy story. It is recorded. I just have to edit it and make it funny, for sure. Maria, I was just talking about you. Did you get to see our picture? I put our picture up. Can I show it again? We talked all about it. And it's good to see you. And thank you so much for having me be a part of your event and your nephew's event. It was a lot of fun. All right. So that means that I have to take Marie's comment off so I can get over here. The dogs are barking and we're running along here, and it's time. It's time for my shameless plug. 'Cause I'm shameless. All righty. Well, the times are getting close. 1 month from today. 1 month from today, I'll be in New York City doing my Rewind show, and we are recording it. I will talk more about it because Broadway World did a whole big feature on me this week, which was mind-blowing. But if you want to come hang out with me, get your tickets at robertbannon.com. You can see me in New York, and I will be there at Green Room 42. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's my full band. It's not just singing in an Italian restaurant. We put on a show. We're going to put on a big old show, and I'm really excited to... The dogs are going crazy. We're gonna put on a big old show, and I really would love for you to be there. It's intimate. It's 100 people. Have a drink, have some nachos, and get ready to laugh and have some fun and hear some great music with the best musicians in New York City. Come join me on the 22nd. You only have a month. Get your tickets. I need to see you and I need support because we're recording it for a live album. So yell and cheer and be there. And I can't wait. And you want a sneak peek? If you're able to come to LA or you want to buy a virtual ticket to LA, I've announced my special guests for LA. Breaking news here first at Feinstein's at Vitello's, which is right there in Studio City in the heart of Los Angeles, November 10th at 8 p.m. The infamous Matt Gould, who wrote I Think He Knew, who's an amazing songwriter, who is somebody who has a TV show coming out. He wrote Lampika, which is coming to Broadway. He'll be my MD and playing music for me that night. The Grammy-nominated jazz legend Jane Monheit will be joining me and singing with me live for the first time ever since our duet of How Deep is the Ocean. And Wicked Star and Anna in Disneyland's Elsa, Dominique Paton is there, and we're going to do a special Disney-inspired duet. You're going to want to get your tickets and see this show as well, virtually and in person. It's Rewind at Feinstein's at Vitello. So wherever you live, I got you covered, and I am ready to give it my all. We're going to do a show 1 month from today, Christine. 1 month from today. And New York and LA are both live streaming. So if you can't be there in person, then you can live stream. But the LA show is a different show than New York because I don't have a band. So we'll figure it out. We'll be playing something, and it will be fun and new and exciting. So yes, go for all that information. You can always go to robertbannon.com. And as time goes on, we'll talk about Christmas and yada, yada, yada. All righty. So what else do I have to tell you? Oh, you love this segment. You all are nutty because you're crazy people like me. That's why we get along so well, right? It's time for Hey Friend Hey.
I'll be there for you. How you doing?
All right. So, what friends did we hear from this week? Well, firstly, I want to give a shout out to this friend. This is someone who ran a Pride event in Wayne, New Jersey, and she is on the e-board for Rutgers Queer and Asian Group. And she sent me that my face is in their is in their cafeteria. It's so embarrassing and so sweet and so thoughtful. I'm so grateful for that. I really appreciated that so much. And then if you would like to know our Hey Friend Hey, how about Griffin Matthews making his appearance on She-Hulk? Talk about Matt Gould. That's Griffin's, is their husbands. And Griffin Matthews wrote, I think he knew too. It's really about his dad. And he was on She-Hulk and he debuted. I want to see people dressed like Griffin Matthews at New York Comic Con. That would give me the most joy. But he's in She-Hulk. He is a fashion designer and he stole the episode and he's in every episode of the show moving forward this season. And I'm so proud of him. If you may have checked out that Olita Adams was our roundtable talk yesterday. It was a sneaky surprise. It was a sneaky surprise. She reached out to me. She asked me to do the interview. I had interviewed her before. And she's touring this weekend in the East Coast and she wanted it out by the end of the week. So I would have held it for next week, but she needed it out to promote. So I did it at school at 3:00 in my classroom, just dismissed the kids. The bell's ringing, the buses are running, there's noise everywhere. And me and Olita talk. So, hey, friend, hey, she commented today that I was a delight and she loved talking to me. And I hope you'll enjoy our conversation. It's streaming right now. And she's a delight. And I said, I worship and sit at the church of Olita Adams because from Get Here to Circle of One to Everything Must Change, she is brilliant. So go to YouTube, check out that interview when we're done here today. I promise you won't leave without a big smile, definitely a big smile on your face. Can I just do a little something too? Can I just talk about a pick of the week? But I don't have music for it. All right. I just want to give a big pick of the week to this show. So I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it on Netflix. I'm going to watch Dylan Burnside. All these great actors are on it, but I'm scared. So if you're a scary person, we can all watch an episode or two and then watch the new season of Abbott Elementary right after because that's more my speed. But I'm watching because Ryan Murphy did it and I love what he did with American Crime Story and impeachment and all that stuff. It's campy and ridiculous, Hollywood, but I'm going to watch. But if I get too scared, I'm shutting it off. I'm just letting you know. I know some of us are watching this year. Yeah, by the end of the year, I'll get... Hi, Darius Wheeler. Hello, friend. Detroit's own Darius Wheeler is in the house. Darius, are you going to watch that? It's getting time to... It's almost Christmas time. You better be decorating for Halloween. Let's go. Other big hey I want to give is to Miles Frost. Miles Frost, Ariana DeBose, and Candy Burris made the 2022 Ebony Power 100 list. You know, everyone, that we might have a Broadway cast lecture series. And our first guest is somebody that's on the list. And they just signed the contract. And next week, the press release goes out. So there's even more of me. I can't wait to share it and tell you all about it in the upcoming weeks at Montclair State University, just because we needed more jobs and more things to do. But Marie's not watching Dahmer. I feel you, Marie. I'm giving it a shot. If you want to Venmo the show, my mom's not here tonight. My mom is on vacation. How dare she? No, I'm so happy for her. She went up to Martha's Vineyard and she's been dying to go her whole life. And all she's wanted to do is go to Martha's Vineyard. And finally, I was like, Mom, Martha's Vineyard is not the Great Wall of China. Like, it's a 4-hour drive. Just get your little ass in the car and go to Martha's Vineyard. So she's in Martha's Vineyard. So Rose, Mama Rose, enjoy. Have the most fun. And if you want to send a virtual tip to me, you can at R. Bannon, and we'll make sure we promote the show so we get good guests and get good graphics and have lots of fun. So yes. Darius is watching Medici because he's smart. He's smart. Marie says don't talk about it because she'll have to shut it off. We're not going to talk about Dahmer. That was all I'm going to say about it. No more. Don't you think they should have had that guy on that playing him, the one that is accused of being a cannibal? Who's the actor? Armie Hammer. Who says those things? Weird. Yes. Hi, Rose. Hi, Mom. Mom's away. Mom, who worked as a hairdresser for 40 years, then she worked in a daycare for 10 years. Now she sits down and works at Holy Name Hospital. Marie and I talked about it a little bit this week too. So, and Marie is retired from Holy Name Hospital as well. All right. So this week, I was telling you before, and I'm only going to show this to you because I put work into it, and I know some of you have seen it already, but a lot of people, the algorithms don't. I was so grateful that Broadway World was so kind enough that they did a top 10 Robert Bannon video list, and I sat down and I told a little bit of behind-the-scenes stories about what it was like to do these videos, and I decided to narrate a little bit of it, so they counted down from 1 to 10. I would love to share it with you. I know some of you saw it. It's like 8 minutes long. While this is going on, I'm going to change. I'm going to put on my Double Dare shirt. Do you know, while we're here, I wanted to slime myself. That's what I was going to do for you on this show. I wanted to slime myself on this show. I was going to do it. I really was going to do it. But then what ended up happening is I was like, that's a mess. And who's going to clean it up? And I was going to throw pie in my face. And I didn't know. But my goddaughter is crazy like me. Do you know for her birthday, she asked to be slimed? Look at this. Is that not the funniest thing ever? Does that not make you think of Nickelodeon? So the second that this is done, Marc Summers will be here with us right after this. Come on, we all grew up with, I at least did, Nickelodeon, Kids' Choice Awards, getting slimed and all that. So here's my top 10 videos as picked by Broadway World to promote my show. And then right after that, the one and only Marc Summers joins us. Take a peek. Hi, amazing people. Well, it's 1 month from today. Rewind will be in Green Room 42. It'll be live, and it will be an amazing experience for me, and I hope for you. We're recording a live album, and it's going to be my trip down my memory lane as we hit rewind and talk about the music and stories that move me. Yesterday, Broadway World picked their top 10 videos of me. So let's break this down. The first video they chose has become a kind of a signature song for me. Number 1 on their list is the incredible Julie Gold written classic, From a Distance. I never meant to do the song. Did this song because we were from a distance during COVID. The video is seen by more than 75,000 people. It's directed by Kyle Ball. Adrian Garzillo helped me so much. It was a freezing cold day in Long Beach Island, and we shot it in a moment. And you all sent your videos, pictures, and love from all of your friends and family. It's one that means a lot to me.
From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land.
Numero dos. And that's as much Spanish as I know. Matt Gould and Griffin Matthews had a family project workshop. It was a show that they were going to put out about their families and their dynamic. And rest in peace to the great late Marva Hicks, who was a part of that workshop and was so brilliant. When we were there, they debuted a new song. I heard it. There wasn't a dry eye in the house, from Brad Oscar to me. We're just sobbing. And I knew that one day I'd have to sing this song. It's kind of my coming out story. I sang it at a concert in New Jersey. No one had ever heard it before. I was so worried what people were going to think. And the audience just stood up and my dad yelled, "I love you, son." It's really to all the people out there who don't have families that support them. And it's called I Think He Knew, and I'm so incredibly proud of it.
You loved me, you taught me, you let me pick the flowers in right field.
The third moment is a moment that is a bucket list checked off for sure. I got an email about Saturday Night. I got an email about Saturday Night Live casting me to be a skinhead, and I had shaved my head for Saturday Night Live, and they always remembered me. So they called me and asked me to be a part of Electric Shoes. I played bass. We had choreography. We had residuals. We had costumes. We had wigs. It's been seen by tons of people, and to walk on that stage and be on the monologue stage and walk down the center aisle of Studio 8H, beyond. We were on the cover of GQ website that day. It was a moment. Sandra Oh was the host, and I've been on SNL over 20 times. Take that small fact. When I was going to record this album, I had met with Ted Firth, who's a genius arranger and works with everybody, and I had told him I wanted to do How Deep Is the Ocean as a duet, and number one on my wish list was the incredible Jane Monheit. I had seen her at the John Harm Center for the Arts when she was performing with John Pizzarelli, and I was just like, John Pizzarelli's wife was also in The Family Project. So weird, small world. Hey, Jessica Molaski. We asked her, and she graciously said yes, did the video and all. I love Jane Monheit. God, I wish I could sing like that. That beautiful woman.
How deep is the ocean? How high is the sky?
As I've told you about in the past, Gitchy Ya Ya Da Da is Patti LaBelle, and she was the first professional gig I ever worked at the Beacon Theater at a tribute for Laura Nyro with her. I told you a video about that. I ended up being good friends with the late, great Sarah Dash, who was so supportive and so sweet. The day she called me on the phone is a day I will never forget. She gave a lot of insight and love. So when I hear this song, I think of her. It was the State Theater. I knew that Patti was going to ask people from the audience, and I was like, I'm going to go. And if you're going to get on stage with the godmother that is Patti LaBelle, you better bring it. From I Think He Knew, my publicist Angela Thomas sent the song to Margaret Josephs of The Real Housewives and shared it with her mom and her team, and they loved it, and they were so sweet and supportive. And ever since then, the Marges have been so good to me. They've let me sing at their Pride events, and they let me sing Happy Birthday for Marge Sr.'s 75th birthday. It happened to be documented on the show. It was the utmost honor. I have so much love for my Jersey friends, and I love my Margaret Josephs, Marge Sr., Lexi, and crew, my people. Everyone join in with me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mark Sr. As a kid, I was obsessed with Sammy Davis Jr. I was just an old soul. I read Sammy Davis Jr. autobiographies all of the time. And when it came time to record music, I needed to do songs by Anthony Newley, because out of everything Sammy Davis Jr. did, the songs by Leslie and Anthony Newley are just the most beautiful, touching torch ballads that I've ever heard. Who Can I Turn To is a deep song, and it was such an honor to do it with a full band.
When you want a new day, but who can I turn to if you turn away?
Barry, all day, every day, Barry. I love that Barry Manilow, and I had to have a song by him in my show and on my album. So I picked When October Goes because it's just a beautiful duet with me and a piano, and it's Johnny Mercer's lyrics, it's Barry Manilow's medley. It's a jazz standard now, and it's just stunning. Nancy Wilson's version, listen to it. She's a master.
Same old dream appears, and you are in my arms.
Lawrence Smith is the eighth wonder of the vocal world. He is a genius. You can see him with Bublé. You can see him on Jimmy Kimmel. You can see him in his solo shows. You can listen to his music. I knew I wanted a fun, up-tempo moment, and I wanted it to be something that we could snap our fingers, snap our necks, and clap along to. We mashed up two R&B classics, and we had Lauren come on and do it. To sing with him is no small feat. You better come ready. He has a range that I have no idea how he does what he does, and it was a lot of fun to shoot that video that was directed by Tia Simone. She's amazing.
How sweet it is to be loved by you. Ooh, yeah. It's so sweet.
Many moons ago, I saw The Boy from Oz with Hugh Jackman, and I fell into a Peter Allen rabbit hole. I used to sing I'm Not the Boy Next Door, and I used to sing all sorts of songs from that show, like I'd Rather Leave When I'm in Love as a kid. And when it came time to do this album, I had to do Once Before I Go because it's a sweeping ballad. I've seen Patti LaBelle's version. I've heard Johnny Mathis's version. I even saw Barry Manilow do a version. But this version is from my heart. It's how I end my shows now. And it's got the message that I want the people who come to see me to leave with, that we only have now, we don't always have forever. And it's an honor to sing that song because that song is gorgeous. And not easy, not easy to sing, but well worth it. Well, thank you, everybody. Make sure you go to robertbannon.com. Come to the Green Room on October 22nd and come see Rewind in person, or come see me in LA on November 10th. It's going to be great. We have Matt Gould playing piano, and we have a lot of special guests. I'll be around and out and about. So go to robertbannon.com, follow me, and look for new music coming soon. Thank you all so much. And thank you, Broadway World and Stephen Mosher, for this great honor. It was a lot of fun to walk down memory lane. Even know where to begin. I mean, I am so excited. I don't even know where to begin. I mean, this next gentleman has been a part of my life since the show started, I think, in 1986, and I'm born in 1983, and I don't remember a time where there was not Marc Summers. He literally made On Your Mark, Get Set, Go. I think he invented the saying, as far as I'm concerned. Even as a kid, I have to give a shout out to my cousin Michelle. She had a computer. The first person I knew that had a computer, she had Double Dare, the actual like floppy disk game show video game that we used to play. It was only orange, was the only color. We went and saw Double Dare live. Marc has been a part of my family's lives. He's been a part of your lives. And I don't know, 25, 30, 40, I don't know how many shows he's been a part of. And I can't wait to talk about it. He's a piece of American and television history. Ladies and gentlemen, my pleasure to welcome Marc Summers.
How are you, Robert?
I am so excited to look. I have the Double Dare shirt.
No, where did you go see the show live? Do you remember?
It was yes, I do. I think it was like Ithaca College. It was a college out here. It was a college show. And it was probably in the 90s. When did you start doing the live show?
We started the tour around 89 or 90. And then, just kind of went on forever. We started doing malls. And we had 5,000 people show up at a mall, and the refreshment stands were happy, but the local Macy's or large department store got mad because all the entrances were blocked. And somebody said, "Well, why don't you go and do a theater?" And I was playing the Palace of Auburn Hills, selling out 20,000 seats on a weekend. It was like being a rock and roll star for kids. It was just I had no idea,
No, it was Ithaca, or maybe it was Fordham. It was a college show. It was a huge auditorium. We sat all the way in the back. My cousin Michelle, her dream was to be on a game show her whole life, went to Florida, sat in the audience to see Double Dare. Like, I'm telling you, it was must-see television in our house every single.
Well, thank you. It was a lot of fun. I've been very fortunate to do the kind of shows that moms and dads and kids could sit and watch together, and they were fun. I was always doing them kind of on two levels. I grew up watching Rocky and Bullwinkle and knew that there was an element there for the adults and an element for the kids, and I tried to do the same thing. And I used to get the comment, parents would come to me and say, "I watch every day for that one thing you do for us," which made me happy,
Absolutely. Well, Marc, how did it start? You're from Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And
I grew up in Indiana and would watch Johnny Carson on a show called Who Do You Trust? I would come home from school, and this show started at 3:30 on the local ABC station. It was nationwide. And I got inspired by Johnny, I guess, because he did magic. And I figured, well, if he did magic, then I'll do magic. And maybe that'll take me to where I want to go. And I started doing magic on local children's televisions. Back in the day, when I grew up, every station in every city had a kid show. And I started, being my own agent, my own manager, and calling up and saying, can you put me on? And I do magic. And I became a regular on a show called Popeye and Janie on WTTV in Indianapolis. And then I became a disc jockey when I was about 14, 15 years old in a place called Elwood, Indiana, doing weekends from 6 to 11. And when I left, Dave Letterman took my place, as a matter of fact, which is crazy to think about. And so I did everything I could in Indianapolis to be in show business. And there was one place in downtown Indianapolis that sold variety. And every Saturday I would take a bus down to downtown Indy, get variety, and read it from cover to cover 2 or 3 times until the next Saturday when I would do it. It's I just wanted to be in show business from the time I was a little kid. And then I moved to Boston in 1971 to go to a college called Graham Junior College. When I was there, Andy Kaufman went to school there. Paul Fusco created Alf. Bertie Brow created Sally Jesse Raphael and Jerry Springer. And so we were a bunch of misfits who wanted to play TV. And I was there for 2 years. And in 1973, moved to Los Angeles and said, I'm going to take over the Tonight Show. Luckily for America, that didn't happen, but other things did.
It sure did. Well, firstly, I love magic. I grew up, watching Johnny Carson with my dad as well. And I'm also like one of the crazy people like you that as a kid, I would read Variety, Billboard, buy a new, when you got that showbiz gene in you that you just want to do something in front of, it doesn't really go away. So,
no, it doesn't. I mean, it's a sickness. At times I wish I didn't have it, but I can't get rid of it.
I understand. I just said to somebody who was on the show last week, who is a mentee in this Hillman production group, and there's an up-and-coming actor, and I said, some days I wish I was like, man, I wish I was a plumber. It would be a lot cheaper and easier, but it doesn't.
Easier. I mean, why we put ourselves through this is unbelievable. And, I was knocking around. I came out here, started a place called the Magic Castle, where I did magic. Initially we were doing 4 shows a night, 7 nights a week, 28 shows a week for $145. And I became a regular at the Comedy Store in 76. Same time Jay and Dave and Robert and Robin rather and Shandling, we all started about the same time. And I was a regular at the store for a couple of years, and then Mitzi called and said, there's nothing else I can do for you, Mark. I'm not going to book you anymore. And it was like, oh my God, now what do I do? And I was trying to write. I was taking a writing class from Danny Simon, Neil Simon's brother. And he became the exec producer head writer of the Mac Davis Show, 1976 NBC. And I went in trying to write stuff, and they turned me down. And I said, well, who's doing the warm-up? And then they said, I don't know. Do you want to do it? So I said, yeah. So I started doing warm-ups, first on Mac Davis, and then I did Shields and Yarnell. Eventually I did Soap and Star Search and Alice and What's Happening Now. And I became sort of the king of warm-ups here, making $100,000 a year, and nobody knew who the hell I was, and I was getting bored with it. And I had been a writer on game shows. I wrote on Truth or Consequences. The last year Barker did it. I did a show called Celebrity Sweepstakes. But I always wanted to be in front of the camera, and it didn't seem to be happening. I was like one step away every time. I had done a sketch on Mac Davis with John Binder, and it got cut because of time, and so nobody ever knew who the hell I was. I did get on a show called Norm Crosby's Comedy Shop, where they introduced new comics, and that was my first national spot. But a friend of mine I went to college with had a smoked salmon company, and I started to sell smoked salmon to make a living because I wasn't making a living in show business. And a friend of mine, Dave Garrison, who was a ventriloquist who I knew from Indianapolis, decided he didn't want to be in front of the camera anymore. And he had gotten a call, and he called me and said, I don't want to go to this audition at some company I've never heard of called Nickelodeon, and they want to do a game show. Why don't you go instead of me? And I did. They had auditioned 1,000 people in New York and didn't like anybody, and they came out to LA. I was the first guy to audition, had 4 callbacks, and eventually got the show.
You were firstly, Norm Crosby was a great comedian. What a wonderful. You are talking about, you're in stand-up, you're in the Comedy Store that's a hard gig in of itself to do stand-up. Oh, yeah. You go in front of TV audiences doing warm-up and decide and start selling salmon.
Yeah, smoked salmon. And by the way, we were in a place, it was called the Price Club before it became Costco. And we were doing 80,000 pounds of smoked salmon a month. And then we got into Trader Joe's before it was national. We were just in California. And, it started to take off when I got the phone call from Dave saying, hey, maybe you should go do this audition. And it was an interesting thing because I did the first, I always, when I go to an audition, I'd get the name of the talent person and the exec producer, and back then get their phone numbers. They used to give it to you, believe it or not. So I could call up in case, I wanted to find out what the status was. And I did one audition, I did a second audition, I did a third audition. And then I knew the show was going to start in September. And this was the last week of August in '86. And I said, hey, did you guys get anybody yet? And they said, it's funny, we were just talking about you. We've got it narrowed down between you and some other guy, but we can't decide who to pick. And I said, well, what's the decision maker? And they said, well, you know, when you did the auditions, we had adults playing the part of kids, so we don't know if you're good with kids or not. And I said, well, I have kids. And they said, yeah, that doesn't mean anything. And I said, well, I used to do magic shows for kids. And they said, well, that doesn't mean anything. And I said, well, I got an idea. Why don't you take whoever this other person is and me and put us in a studio with kids, and may the best man win. And he said, I'll call you back in an hour. And he did. And he said, what are you doing over Labor Day? And I said, coming to New York and doing an audition in front of kids. He said, yeah. So they flew into New York on Labor Day of '86. And I did the show, and the other guy did the show. And they called me on Wednesday and said, well, congratulations, you're the new host of Double Dare. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. You auditioned 1,000 people in New York, 1,000 in LA, came down to 2 of us. Why did I get this job? And they said, well, quite honestly, you were both about the same. But at the end of his audition, he looked in the camera and said, are you guys done? You want me to do anything else? And I looked in the camera and I said, we'll be back with more Double Dare right after this. And because I threw it to commercial, they thought that was more professional. And that's how I got the job.
That is, there's a lot of lessons in that whole situation. Your perseverance, sticking with it, and then staying professional through the whole entire audition. And
yeah,
you had the part before you had the part.
Well, you know what? I just was obsessed with game shows, and I watched Bob Barker, and I watched all these people, and I always knew when you were done, you threw to commercial, and instinctively, that's what I did, and it changed my life.
Well, I'm sure, and I've seen you have a documentary that was out called On Your Mark, which is it's right here, which is a documentary about the messiest man in show business. And if you have Hulu, there's a Nickelodeon story documentary called The Orange Years, which both of them, watching them really gives you a background to Nickelodeon when it started, was the most mom and pop network on television.
Yeah. I mean, they were so busy trying to figure out what the next show was and how to get it on that nobody kind of was watching the store. We got away with stuff when we were shooting those things that, you know, occasionally we get the phone call from New York saying, what the hell are you guys doing there? But they let us get away with it. And I think it's what made the show successful.
Well, it was so entertaining. I mean, you have literally, I don't know, slimed and gooked up more people than probably anyone in history.
Even Spielberg and a lot of other people.
Yes, yes. And you went down to famously Nickelodeon Studios was in Orlando Studios in Florida.
Yeah.
And filming that show must have been a trip. I watched the documentaries and I realized, like they said, like your budget and the famous story about your first episode, the budget was 4 episodes in a day to make sure that you had to film. And the first time you do the obstacle course, you have like missing flags and having to set, it had to be real guerrilla television when it started.
Well, it was, you know, most of the staff had never done a game show before, and it was sort of learned by doing. And I was the only one who had any experience whatsoever, but I was not on management side. I eventually became the exec producer, but at that time I was just host boy. So basically I was sitting in my dressing room waiting to figure out what was happening next. And I remember that first episode took like 4 hours. We got, I think, 1 done in 1 day. And Jerry Laybourne, who was president at the time, was there. And I just was sure she was going to cancel the show based on the fact that we couldn't get 1 episode done in, an entire day. And eventually we ended up doing 6 a day. We would do 30 shows a week when we were up and running. So, I mean, that was year 2 and 3 and on. But it took us a while to warm up to it. But once we did, man, we were smooth sailing.
Well, can we just take 30 seconds? Can I show you some of my favorite obstacle course moments?
Of course.
These are my favorite of the obstacle course. Some of them are famous, maybe some are obscure, but these are the ones that I remember.
You've done your homework.
I love this. I want to go through this, even though I'm kind of terrified of it.
Is this where the guy's pants came off?
And then, yes, if you watch the full clip, you crank him right through.
Yeah, and his pants come off. And we did, we had to, we wanted to do credits on his rear end, but they were very upset about that fact.
Produced by Marc Summers.
Yeah.
The pool filled with stuff. I mean, you jump in there and find the flag. I mean, this is the things that I dreamed about doing as a kid, Mark.
Well, we kept trying to come up with creative ways to make that particular obstacle interesting. And for a while, we filled it with 4,000 pounds of baked beans. And after we got it filled with the baked beans, we didn't know how to get the baked beans out. And we called one of those, septic tank guys who came in with a hose to suck the beans out, because we kept trying to shovel it and put it in bags, and the bags were breaking. And so little behind the scenes things.
Well, yeah. Fact, I just took my goddaughter to the Bronx Zoo, and they have something called the Mouse House. And then whenever I see a mouse in a wheel, how do you not push that wheel till you get to the top, and then the flag comes down from the top? See, it's ingrained in my head, Mark. I can't get these moments of television out of my head.
Hold on one second. Come here, Charlie. My doggy's here, and he wants to get in my lap.
Of course.
Hey, guys. Say hi, Charlie.
Oh, Charlie.
He's the best doggy in the world.
Hey, what a beautiful face. Those ears are gorgeous.
I know. They're big. Okay, Charlie, I got to go back to work.
And then, of course, I guess the two most iconic ones that I can think of, the mouth, the slide, and the all-time favorite,
the
nose.
Yep, pick it. I've never worked a day in my life. That's all I can tell you. Okay.
And then, of course, before we talk about all the other fun things you do, hosting, as you've then become known from that show, you go on to host and be a part of many game shows and talk shows. I remember Couch Potatoes.
Oh, do you really?
You're
the one, huh?
No, very much so. That chair, we were fans. And then also, what would you do? Your how many years was Family Double Dare and all the iterations of Double Dare on?
86 to 94, we did 525 episodes, and in the middle of that, we shot 90 episodes of What Would You Do? And I produced a bunch of other stuff along the way, but I was there 86 to 94 for the most part, producing and hosting shows. We did, Nick Takes Over Your School, and we did Kids' Choice, and I can't even remember half the stuff we did. It's been so long ago now, but it was a great opportunity. And I never thought I'd be anywhere longer than Nick. And then I was at Food Network for 20 years. So I've been lucky enough to have a couple of hit shows along the way. And the audience that grew up with me over at Nick followed me over to Food Network, which kept Unwrapped on the air for many years. And it's just been a pretty amazing life. So
how did the Food Network and Unwrapped and the idea of that show come to life? Because it's brilliant.
Well, I was actually never intending to work over there. I was producing, and I brought a young lady over who had written a book and won some James Beard Awards, and I was pitching her to be talent. And they kept saying, well, why don't you do something on Food Network? And I'm thinking to myself, I barely make TV dinners. What the hell would I be doing on the Food Network? And they kept after me and kept after me and kept after me. And eventually I ended up doing a show called It's a Surprise, where we did surprise parties. The surprise was nobody watched. It just didn't go well at all. And they had done 3 or 4 specials of Unwrapped with another person. And they sent me, I was doing a special national team chocolate champion or national team pastry champion somewhere in Colorado up in the mountains. And they handed me a tape, that's how long ago this was, and said, watch this over the weekend. And it was a special of Unwrapped. And I called him and I said, at the time A&E had Biography, and Biography was like the hottest show. And I said, I think Unwrapped can become for Food Network what Biography came for A&E. And we shot 13 episodes, and they put it on Monday nights at 10:30, and it just died. And the president of the network, Brooke Johnson, called me and said, look, or maybe it was Judy Gerard, I think it was, who called me and said, you're killing my Monday nights, but we're going to move you to Mondays at 9 in the evening. And if it does well, we'll do more. And if not, we're done. And at 9 o'clock, for some reason, it exploded. And now we were doing from 9 to 9:30. And then we were doing from 9 to 10. And then we were doing a show called Trivia Unwrapped. So it was all Marc Summers all the time from 9 till 10:30 on Monday nights. And, everybody thinks, look, Emerald deserves, a statue and should be on the network all the time. And everybody thought, that his show, Emerald Live, was the #1 show. Actually, Unwrapped used to beat him all the time. But Emerald was, he's a chef, and I wasn't, and still am not. But the two of us kind of started that channel off in many ways. And, Unwrapped lasted for a long time. And then I was the host of the Next Food Network Star for the first couple of years when Guy Fieri won. So that was fun. And I was there for 20 years. And then I ended up the exec producer of both Dinner Impossible and Restaurant Impossible, which are still on. And I'm no longer exec producer. I'm just consultant on those shows. But, I was behind the camera and in front of the camera on many different shows over there.
But what you're really saying is that a lot of the content that's now on the Food Network is food related, but not always cooking. It's game shows. It's and that was kind of an idea that you kind of started with Unwrapped, and then we get to see how you make a marshmallow or a Snickers bar, or whatever. Like all the behind the scenes of it. That's a great way to describe it. Biography for a product, for a food product.
Yeah, it really was. It was so much fun. And initially, I was just in a diner in Denver, and then we eventually moved out and actually did visit some factories towards the end. But for the most part, I was just throwing to videotape that was recorded, 3 months before I got there. And we would shoot, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 shows a day when we were doing that thing. We'd go in there, 3 days a week in Denver and, just knock them out. It was crazy.
Mark, while you're talking, I can't imagine you traveling with your wife and your family, or being in foreign countries or anywhere in this country, and people must see you and feel like they literally know you, like you're a relative, like you grew up with. It must be because you've literally your entire, a lot of our lives have been with you, growing up with you and watching television through different iterations.
It's been interesting. Yeah, I get stopped on a regular basis. But I was just in a place between Capri and Positano. Bobby Flay sent me. He said it's the best restaurant in the world, called the Scoglio. Amazing. And as I'm walking out, people go, "Aren't you that guy?" I mean, to be in a foreign country, but a lot of our stuff runs internationally. And now with Discovery Plus, every iteration of Unwrapped that ever existed is on. So, it's like I never go away. You see my hair change color over the years. But other than that, I mean, it continues, which is nice.
So what brought you to this idea that this is what I heard from you and doing some research. You do theater. You're an actor. You can sit, you sing, you're a comedian. So you are like the perfect musical theater. You end up in Jersey doing theater, and somehow get in touch with Drew Gasparini, which, if you don't know, Drew Gasparini is a brilliant songwriter.
I got diagnosed with cancer and then beat that. And then I was in a car accident. I broke every bone in my face and beat that. And I'd been talking about being on auditioning for Broadway for years, and it was just always too scared. The first phone call I got was many moons ago, and they were going to take the movie Big and turn it into a Broadway show. Mm-hmm. And I get the phone call, "Would you come and audition?" And I said, "Well, I don't think I'm ready to do that kind of stuff." And is there dancing? And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Yeah, I'm not a dancer." He goes, "Look, I'll teach you all that stuff. This is his quote. It's about asses in the seats, and nobody's hotter than you right now. So why don't you do it?" So I turned it down initially. Went in the other room and I said to my wife, "I just got an interesting call. They wanted me to audition for Big on Broadway." And she said, "You said yes, didn't you?" And I said no. And she said, "Ever since we've been married, all I've heard is I want to be on Broadway." And you get the phone call and you say no. Call him back and say you're going to do the audition. So I went back, the phone rang, and he picked up the phone. He goes, "Changed your mind?" I said, "Yeah." And so I went and took voice lessons and learned parts and this and that. And the day of the audition, I didn't go. I was scared beyond belief, thought I was out of my element, and didn't show up for the audition. And so I kind of regretted that for a while. And so then fast forward the tape, I was obsessed with the producers. I saw a couple of previews and I was there after they opened. And I just thought it was the funniest show in the history of the world. And I was doing a Food Network event at, this is also crazy. I'll back into another thing. I was doing a Food Network event in Los Angeles, and it's at Spago. And the room next to us, there was some book signing. And I said to the maitre d', who's in there? And they said, "Max Brooks." And I said, "Who's Max Brooks?" And then he pointed, and Mel ran right in front of me. He said, "It's his son." So Mel Brooks' son, Max, had a book, and they were doing a signing. And so now I didn't want to be at the Food Network event that I was supposed to be talking at and entertaining people at. I wanted to be in the room over there. I saw Rob Reiner. I saw Carl Reiner. I saw Billy Crystal. I mean, it was a who's who of show business. And every time I went in, Mel was holding court. And there were a bazillion people around him, and his son was over here signing books. And every time I went in, the crowd got smaller and smaller and smaller. And I went in about the fourth time, and it was about 9:30, 9:45, and there's Mel eating off this board of food. And he looks at me and he says, "Hello, young man. What's your name and what do you do?" Oh my God. I said, "My name is Marc Summers and I work for the Food Network." And he goes, "Oh, what do you do for the Food Network?" I said, "Well, I do a show called Unwrapped." He goes, "Oh, what's that about?" And I started talking about that. And I said, "Hey, I just want to let you know I've seen the producers about 13 times." He said, "You did? Why did you see that many times?" I said, "Well, I just thought it was fascinating." And I said, "I got to be honest with you. I would like to audition someday for the producers." And he said, "It's interesting because you look like Bloom." And I said, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." He said, "Here's my phone number. Call me and we'll set up the audition. But I need something from you." And I said, "What could you possibly need from me?" He said, "My son over there is signing books. Do you have any connections like with the Today Show?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" And he goes, "Well, can you get him on the Today Show?" I said, "Well, you're Mel effing Brooks. Why don't you call the Today Show and get him on?" He said, "No, I can't do that. Can you help?" So I said, "Yeah." So I had been on the Today Show for years at that point doing food stuff. And so the next day I called the Food Network. I'm sorry, I called Today Show, and I said, "Max Brooks, Mel Brooks' son, wrote a book. Can you get him on?" And they said, "Well, I can't give it to you, but I'll connect you." So the next day I called Mel at that phone number, and I said, "Mel Brooks, please." And they said, "Who's calling?" I said, "Marc Summers. I met him last night." He picked up. He goes, "Hello, Mark." He actually took my phone call, and I said, "Do you have a pen and paper?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Write this down. Here's a producer. Here's a phone number. Give them a call. No guarantees, but tell your son to call. Hopefully he'll get on." And he thanked me, and we had a conversation. He said, "Okay, so you're going to audition for me?" I went, "Yeah." So he said, "There's a guy in LA who does voice lessons for guys in theater. Billy Crystal uses them all the time in the Oscars. You should call him." So I called him and I started taking voice lessons. And they basically wanted me to go in and audition for the show in Vegas. Tony Danza was playing Bialystok, and he said that I could audition for the Bloom role. So I trained with this guy for about 3 months. And once again, I didn't go to the audition. Scared out of my mind. In fact, I ran into Mel a couple of times. He owned a restaurant called Angus McKindo's that was right next to the theater. And a couple of times I ran into him and he said, "Audition's coming up. You're going to audition for me." I went, yeah. And I didn't show up. And so I was scared out of my mind. And I always regretted that as well. So fast forward the tape. When I went to Angus McKindo's on the 3rd floor, it was all theater people. You couldn't get up there. They had it blocked. And it was all people who had done Broadway shows, either the producers or many other. And at 11:15 at night, it was a who's who of theater. And I kept trying to get up there and they kept stopping me. Well, one night I got up there. And I was sitting at the bar looking around, and here was Matthew Broderick, and here was Nathan, and a bunch of other people. And I was like, "Oh my God." And this guy came up to me and said, "I could have been you." And I said, what the hell does that mean? He said, "I auditioned for Double Dare, but I didn't get the role." I said, "Okay, what do you do now?" He said, "I produce Broadway shows." I said, "You do? I want to be on Broadway." And he goes, "Okay." And so I said, "Is there anything that I can audition for?" And he said, "Well, I just got a summer theater place in Long Beach Island, New Jersey. I don't know what we're doing yet this season, but I'll get in touch with you." And I thought, okay. So he called me a couple weeks later and said, "We're doing Grease. Do you want to play Vince Fontaine?" I said, "Do I have to audition?" He said, "No." So I said, "I'll take it." And so I went in and rehearsed for 3 weeks. And then we did it 3 weeks, and it was amazing. And while I was there, one of the guys in the show was Drew Gasparini. And Drew was playing even a lesser part than I was, because Vince at least had, one scene, and Drew was just doing a lot of stuff. And we became very close. And he was writing music, and I was blown away by what he did. And he introduced me to a guy by the name of Alex Brightman, who, as we know, has starred in, Beetlejuice and School of Rock and umpteen other things. And Alex and Drew and I used to go to dinner every couple of weeks in New York, and I would just tell stories. And out of that, they wrote me a one-man show called The Life and Slimes of Marc Summers. And we did it first at Bloomington Playwrights Project in Bloomington, Indiana. We then did the Adirondack Theater Festival. And believe it or not, I'm telling you this now, I think I'm doing it next summer in a bunch of theaters on the East Coast. I can't announce anything just yet, but we've been contacted, and it looks like we're going to be happening next summer.
I was just going to say to you, please get this show. Like, I need to see this show. Firstly, Drew Gasparini, when he wrote, "I'm a little bit scared and a little bit lonely, a little bit."
That song.
Best. And Alex Brightman's performance of it is, if you haven't seen YouTube it, find it. It's
yeah. And by the way, is one of the most often done pieces in rehearsals. In fact, I understand casting directors asked people to stop doing it. Everybody was doing it. It's such a great song.
It's such a great song. It's such a great piece. I mean, to perform and sing. Wow. Talk about how everything happens for a reason. I mean, wow.
Yeah, we initially, I produced something after we did the initial thing at Bloomington and the Adirondacks. We got off to do a tour, which I screwed up. It's too long a story to go into. And then when I went back and said, "Oops, can we do it again?" It was too late. And then we were in conversations to possibly take it off Broadway. But to do my silly little show with 2 people in it costs $1 million these days just to do off Broadway. And so that's kind of on the back burner. So what we're going to do is do it next summer in a couple of places, hopefully bring in some New York folks to take a look at it, and hopefully work out a deal where eventually I get my dream and not get to be on Broadway, but perhaps off Broadway, which would be fine.
Listen, when you announce that you're doing a show somewhere in this country, that you're bringing this show, I need to be there, and I will take tickets. I'll hand out playbills. Mark, I'm telling you right now, whatever you need, I'm ready.
Well, I'm going to take you up on that. I'm looking forward to doing it. I'm scared, quite honestly, because at this point I'll be, almost 72 when I go out and do it again. And it's like, can I actually remember, 70 pages of dialogue? And even though it's about my life, and we're changing the last third, because from the last time we did it till now, a lot of things have changed in my life. And so Alex is doing a rewrite as we speak right now. And so, a lot of moving parts, as you can imagine, to make this thing happen. And it's mind-boggling that it's actually possibly happening again.
Well, you have the most talented. I mean, you are such a personality, and you're so familiar to us all, and we're beloved by us.
No,
and Drew and Alex. I'm seeing Beetlejuice again on Wednesday with my gotcha. He's so brilliant. He's like a tour de force performer. That's
amazing. What Joel Grey was to Cabaret, he is to Beetlejuice, no question. He's just spectacular. And there's another person in the show. It's a one-man show with 2 people that I do called Mike Nappy. Mike Nappy plays every other person in my life. And I'm going to tell you, he's the reason the show's a success, because he's so good. And so he's coming back to do this with me, thank heavens. And so I'm excited about putting it all back together. And the original team, everybody's doing it. Drew did the music, and it's pretty exciting.
Well, I'm ready. I'm so excited for it. And if we want to see more about you and more about your life, the documentary, you streamed it, you aired it everywhere. And then
it's not. We're trying to make a deal right now with somebody about getting it back up and running on a streaming service. So we're in the middle of that. This stuff never goes away, it seems like. So we're negotiating that as we speak. And so when COVID happened, everything came to a screeching halt. And so I decided, okay, well, maybe I'm done. But now things are starting to pop up again. So, I've laid off social media. I don't do it as much as I used to. It's a necessary evil, I guess. So sooner or later, we'll pop things up there and let people know, where it's coming. And as soon as contracts are signed and all that kind of good stuff. So, I'm just happy to be, wanted by anybody at this point.
You think we're going to let you go that easy, Mark? We're not just going to let you ride. I know even if you want to ride off into the sunset and take a trip or go away, we're not letting you. We're pulling you back in.
That's very kind. What are you working on besides this podcast right now?
I have a Christmas. I do shows. I'm going to be in LA in November at Feinstein's at Vitello's. I'm going to be.
Oh, you are? Wait a minute, you're in Feinstein's in LA?
I'm going to be there on November 10th. November 10th. I bring my piano, and I have a show called Unfinished Business. And thank you for the utmost host. My show is called Unfinished Business, and this one's called Rewind, about going back in time. But I grew up and went to Juilliard. Talk about being scared. Juilliard Preparatory School, musical theater, wanting to be in show business, and at 19 went on an audition for Rent to replace the Roger, and botched the audition and changed my major and became a school teacher.
Oh my, really?
15 years, principal's license, master's degree, everything, and then went back to show biz at 32 years old. So I wrote a show called Unfinished Business about how it chases you and coming back. So
it does. It chases you. Okay, so when do you get to LA? On the 10th or on the 9th or when?
Yeah, the 9th. It's teachers' convention, so I'm off. That's what.
All right. So you got to call me because we got to go to dinner and hang out. That would be fantastic. My birthday's on the 11th, so we'll do a little celebration there. And boy, that's great. I get to meet you live and in person.
I need to meet you live and in person and really have a full catch up. But yeah, thank you so much for asking. I'm involved in theater and I love theater, and my friends that do theater, I'm so in awe of people who do theater. And I've done the musical theater thing for years. I got to do Rent eventually. I got to do these We Will Rock You and all these shows. And then I realized I don't follow music direction great. So I do my one-man show because I can do whatever I want.
It's a nice way to go. You know, it's funny. A couple of nights when I was doing my show, you know, you go up on lines and of course nobody knows, and you know, you can have fun and screw around and eventually steer yourself back. But it's scary to be up there by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also, I don't know, there's something freeing about just after all of these years, to feel comfortable just being who I am has been a lot. My therapist has a shore house down the Jersey Shore, thanks to my insurance money to get me here.
You know, my daughter's a performer, and I remember from the time she was a little kid, and we were sitting at the dinner table. She was about 6 years old, and she said, "Dad, you know when you walk out on stage and you have that feeling in your stomach where you want to throw up?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "I love that feeling." And you know, and unless you're in the entertainment, and my wife said, "Yeah, you guys are nuts." But unless you are a performer, you don't get it. You know, it's a different world. And I don't know. I miss that feeling, and I haven't been on stage in, like I say, at least 3 years now. So, you know, I'm intimidated by doing it again, but we'll rehearse it. We'll be fine. And, you know, I don't feel any pressure anymore. You know, like at this point, I don't have anything to prove. I'm kind of, I am where I am. You know who I am. If you like me, you'll come and see me. If you don't, that's fine too. But I kind of feel more relaxed. So hopefully the show will be even better this time around.
I can't wait. If you want more information about all things Mark, go to www.marksummerstv.com, and we can follow you for the updates at Real Marc Summers on the Instagram and on Facebook and all of that. Mark, okay. That's it. Now you're stuck with me. I'm going to come out to LA. I'm just going to,
I'm ready, man. I'm ready. That's great. I'll come and see your show, and we'll go to dinner. We'll hang.
Thank you for this time. Thank you for your listen, I told this story on social media. My phone rang. It was an LA number. I picked up the phone and I said, "Hello," waiting for you to tell me my car insurance plan, my student loans. And you said, "Hi, this is Marc Summers." And I was driving in my car and I was like, "What?"
I like to surprise people that way. And I told you on the phone, because I always check people out before I get asked to do these things. And you're just so damn good, because I tell you why, you listen, number one, and you have a passion for this, and you're a natural. Very few people are natural at this, and you have that ability, and so you need to run with it.
I'm gonna take that with me. That means so much.
True.
Like you were saying, as a kid, I'm the artsy brother, and my brother is the jock, and I used to sit there with the camcorder and to be the announcer. And for his football games and baseball games, all I've ever wanted to do is host a show. So the fact that I get to talk to someone like you is really the dream. Is really a dream of mine. So
I used to sit in my bedroom and hold a flashlight, pretend it was a microphone, and read Time magazine, pretending I was doing the news. You know, I mean, when you have whatever that is that you're born with, you know, from that age, I was doing it, and obviously, same thing for you. And it's a sickness, man. That's all I can tell you. You're stuck with it, you know?
So that's the lesson that I've taken from all of this. Is like I was saying before about being myself. It's like, yeah, I've tried to, I act and I sing and I do all of that, but there's nothing like just sitting there and getting to talk to people like yourself. It is the greatest joy truly for me. So thank you for your time and all of the years you've given us. I know it comes with a sacrifice, and it's been a great joy for all of us to watch.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on your show, and I look forward to seeing you in November. Not too long to wait. So you have a great day.
I'm ready. There you had it. Look at this monster. It was time for him. Look at us. That was Marc Summers. He after the show, you know, Marc Summers wrote me and said he wanted to send me some Frank Sinatra CDs, and he was so generous and sweet. And when he calls me and my phone says Marc Summers, I'm like, who the hell am I? What is going on? And why am I not more rich? I appreciate you all. Hey, how are you? Welcome back. Marc Summers is such a great guy. Let's see. We had a lot of, yeah, Mark is for his birthday, he wants to have dinner. Oh, thanks, A. That's a good one, right? It was a good show. It was a good show. Um, and patience, you're very natural, and you're extremely generous and genuine. Oh, it's all real. I appreciate that. I really mean it. I try to be as real as I can, and I do admire people and their artistry. Chief Galvin, how are you, friend? Thank you so much, Chief Galvin. It was so nice to see you the other day. Now I know where you live, so I could just ring your doorbell and have breakfast, a cup of coffee before school. Next week, we have the one and only Dar Williams. She's going to be here to talk about how to write a song. There's a song in each of you. Chief Galvin, there's a song in you. Adrian, there's a song in you. Marie, there's a song in you. Janelle, there's a song in you. Everyone, Clarence, there's a song in you. And wait till you see the Roundtable talks next week. Come see me in New York City. It's robertbannon.com. You can get your tickets in New York and LA. You'll see Marc Summers in LA if you're there. Get your virtual tickets. This guy's stealing my show. And we've lost control here. So for me to you, thank you for spending this hour with me. I appreciate you all so much. And until next week, everybody, the best is yet to come. God bless you. Thanks for being here and have the best weekend. See you all real soon. Thank you, everybody. You all are so sweet tonight. See you soon. Bye, everyone.